Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to Puan Nur Ibtisam binti Abdul Karim, Head of Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management, Puan Nur Fadila binti Zainal Abidin, the Faculty Coordinator, Encik Ahmad Khairuman bin Muhammad Hasim, the Curriculum Management Coordinator for Diploma in Tourism Management, Puan Sharini Shira binti Abdul Hamid, the Program Coordinator for Diploma in Tourism Management, who is also the lecturer for Meeting, Incentive, Convention and Event, MICE, comes today's event advisor, Encik Akmal bin Adnan, the Head of Corporate Unit, UiTM Cawangan Melaka, Puan Nadia Hanim binti Muhammad Wasilan, the Hotel and Tourism in Club Hatik advisor, Puan Aziza binti Muhammad Yusof, the Internship Coordinator, and last but not least, the respectable lecturer of faculty members. For today, Dr. Hijaz Rizwan, Puan Johanna Datuk Johari, and Puan Anita Abu Bakar. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mind Your Mind with us. First of all, let us thank Allah for His mercies and blessings that allow us to gather on such a beautiful occasion this morning. I would like to thank you for joining us for today for this major occasion. Mental health among teenagers, combating the stigma while saving souls is the name of our event today. Let me introduce myself. My name is Alia Natasha binti Harun. It is my pleasure to represent my faculty and be your MC and moderator for today's event. On behalf of Mind Your Mind with us, I would like to give a very warm welcome to everyone who has made it here today. We appreciate that you are willing to spend some time with us. Hopefully, we will gain a handful of knowledge and learn something new today. Before we jump in, I would like to go over a few items so you can participate in today's event. This talk is recorded, so you can later find it out on our YouTube channel, mindyourmind.official. Feel free to leave your thoughts, reaction, and questions during the session. Make sure the comment section is filled up, okay? Let me go through the house rules once more. Audience must act respectfully throughout the event. Any form of disrespect or threatening elements are strictly prohibited and will immediately result in a ban. Any form of hate speech directed to any community will not be tolerated. The flow of this event depends on the audience interaction with the speakers, so we also would highly encourage you to be as interactive and engaging as possible. The talk will consist of 2 moderators and 3 panelists. Q&A session will be conducted at the end of the talk. So keep the question coming, okay? There will be a lucky draw segment after the Q&A session. So make sure to include the hashtag MYM in the YouTube comment to stand a chance to win the lucky draw. We are pleased to let you all know that can be as engaging as possible to truly participate with us during the session. In this event, we are going to discuss mental illness related issues such as detecting mental illness symptoms, combating stigma, and helping those who are suffering from the health problem. Since the longer and dreadful pandemic, it is understandable that many of us are experiencing emotional strain. There are several factors that might be the switch that could trigger unfavorable consequences for our mental health, and all of which will definitely have a detrimental influence on our lives. Those emotional strains sometimes can negatively impact our mental health and lead to mental illness problems in particular, or namely as anxiety disorder, depression, bipolar, and many more. But before we dive into this topic, ladies and gentlemen, to bless our event today, I would like to invite Mr. Muhammad Iskandar to lead our prayer read.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidina Muhammadin Ashrafil Anbiya'i wal Mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma antas salam wa minkas salam wa alayka ya'udus salam fahayyana rabbana bis salam. Ya salamu salimna ajma'in wa ja'alna min abdikas salihin. Allahumma ya Allah, on this blessed morning, in conjunction with the My Your Mind with us, we beseech thee and are grateful to you in favor of all the infinite blessing to us. Your humble servant to live in safe and prosperous life. We seek your blessing for the hourless progress of this event from the beginning till the end. We seek your guidance to stay clear of events that will determine the progress of this event. Ya Latif, Ya Rahman, please bless us with your tawfiq and hidayah. Please guide us to greatness, peace, glory and prosperity in this world and the year after. Make us responsible intellectuals. Grant us with valuable knowledge that will be beneficial to mankind in order to gain your mazatillah. Make us your righteous servant that follow your commands and neglected the sinful act. Please forgive us for our wrongdoing. Ya Munzilal Barakah, bestow peace to our beloved country, Malaysia. Preserve us from any threat and disaster, neither man-made nor natural disaster. And to you, Ya Allah, we ask for security and prosperity upon us, our leaders and our country. Bestow patience in us in order to face the challenges from you. Please accept our deed and please reward us accordingly. ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin, Ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Mr. Iskandar, for leading the prayer. May our event today be blessed by him, inshallah. Okay, so next we have an opening speech to be delivered by a representative from our faculty, which is Madam Nur Ibtisam binti Abdul Karim. She is the head of the Hotel and Tourism Management faculty, and she will give the opening speech as well as officially inaugurate today's event. So without further ado, I would like to invite Madam Ibtisam to give a speech.
Okay, boleh dengar?
Boleh, Madam.
Right, so can I start now, the speech?
Yes, you may, Madam.
Alright, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to one and all who attended our event today. So first of all, I would like to send my best regards to my dearest colleagues, alright, who attended this morning event. Puan Nur Fadila binti Zainal Abidin, the faculty coordinator, Encik Ahmad Khairman bin Mat Hasim, the curriculum management coordinator for diploma in tourism management. Puan Sharini Shira Abdul Hamid, the program coordinator for Diploma in Tourism Management, who is also the lecturer for Meeting Incentive Convention and Event MICE, and also she's also today's event advisor. Encik Akmal Adnan, the head of corporate unit UITM Cawangan Melaka. Puan Nadia Hanim binti Muhammad Wasilan, right? So the hotel and tourism in Club Hatik advisor. Puan Asliza Muhammad Yusof, the internship coordinator, and all lecturers of the Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management UITM Cawangan Melaka. So the warmest welcome, especially to our guest speakers, Dr. Hijaz Rizwan, a psychiatrist from Hospital Tengku Ampuan Afzan, Puan Johanna Datuk Johari, a mental health advocate and psychologist counselor, and also Puan Anita Abu Bakar, the president of MIASA. It is an honor to have all of you as our guest speakers in this event. I would also like to say thank you to all audience and participants who are present to attend and enliven our program today. All right, so your support to the program is much appreciated. I would like to definitely congratulate everyone who mark and also who work hard, right, to make this event happen. I believe it has been a very challenging moment for the organizer, especially diploma students, all right, to gather all respectful speakers for this event. Somehow you managed to do it with the assistance of the program's advisor, Wan Shira. So with the increasing numbers of people having mental illness nowadays I strongly believe that this event is a good platform to spread awareness about mental health. So this event aims at the youth specifically, and we wish more people in our society could understand the issues and work together to combat the stigma of mental health. All right. So there are many cases where those suffering mental illness did not get much help, all right, from people around them. So most of them are battling the illness alone in silence. So very few of them seek for help and also the professional treatment. So hence, I hope by joining this event, we will get in-depth insights about mental illness so that we could save lives and souls. Right. So together we should be kind not only to ourselves but to everyone around us. Be alert, understand more, show empathy, and provide continuous support and love. There are the magic potions in handling people with mental illness. So with that, I will end my speech. All right. And Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I hereby declare program Mind Your Mind with Us. Okay. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam, Madam. Thank you so much, Madam Nur Itisam binti Abdul Karim, for the wonderful speech. I know everyone must be so excited, right, to see our invited panelists for today. But before we proceed to our forum section, let's watch this introduction video that has been specially made for this event by Ibtisam Aizad from the Department of Publicity and Media of Mind Your Mind. Here you go.
It's not a big problem. Don't be such a baby.
Other people have it even worse.
Everything will get sorted by the end.
If you stop thinking about it, it might get better.
I went through the same thing and I'm fine.
It's not a big deal, okay? You'll be fine.
Making a big deal out of nothing.
Chill, bro. I'm just joking.
You should just be good.
I did it. So you
It's
can do
not
it
a
too.
big deal.
Everything will be done.
You upset all the time. See the good in everything.
Look at the bright side.
Stop thinking about it too much.
You should just be grateful.
It only takes one person to say that they don't believe you for you to just retreat into yourself and not do it, not talk to anyone anymore. Despite it, then I'm just gonna be in my bed forever. So I wish I could tell that to myself when I was 15. I'm just a regular person. I wish people would see that. Just make the effort, you know. If you just get up, then everything will be fine. You know, I don't like this phrase, you know, everything will be fine. It's hard to like feel that way. So I don't like when people say that kind of thing. It's not really their fault because they weren't educated about it. You won't get it because to you, yeah, that's all you have to do. Just, you know, make the effort and everything's fine. But like, it's not a matter of being weak or being strong. It's just a matter of your brain has a problem. That's why there's medication for it. People don't understand that it's like an illness.
Alright, disclaimers guys. Every information that is shared during the session is for educational purposes only. It represents the speaker's personal opinion and comment and does not represent our organization. Hence, UITM will not be liable on any comments or views that has been made. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum and good morning to everyone. Thank you so much for spending your time with us on this event. It was such a great pleasure that we had a chance to have our special panelists for today's occasion. Before we start, I would like to introduce my name. Hi, my name is Nurul Huda Hazwana Muhammad Azmi and I will be your moderator for today's event. And it is my pleasure to be your moderator. So we got here. Our first panelist will be Dr. Hijaz Rizwan, a psychiatrist from Hospital Tengku Ampuan Afzan. He is also a lecturer in psychiatry at Kuliah of Medic, International Islamic University Malaysia, Kuantan campus, who pursued a Bachelor of Medic, Bachelor of Surgery, and Bachelor of Obstetrics from the University of Dublin. Due to his astounding achievement, he has been invited to many mental health related events. Hi, Assalamualaikum, Doctor. How are you today?
Yeah, Assalamualaikum. Morning to you. How are you? I'm good.
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. Thank you for answering.
Yeah, thank you
Okay.
for the invitation.
Okay. Okay, next, our second panelist, Puan Johanna Datuk Johari. She's a mental health advocate and psychologist counselor who has been encouraging people with her outstanding work and admirable persona. Puan Johanna has a Master of Social Science in Psychology Counseling from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, specialized in client-centered therapy, reality therapy, rational emotive behavior therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, and organizational counseling. Puan Johanna's practice is Your Privacy is Our Priority. Puan Johanna is the perfect figure to seek help as she has more than 20 years experience combined in providing mental and behavioral health counseling. She was the head of the counseling expert handling the families and relatives of the MH370 passengers. Aside from that, Puan Johanna has gained tremendous credibility for her counseling skills and she is one of the few Malaysian counselors sought by international clients. How awesome is that, right? Assalamualaikum Puan Johanna. How are you doing today? Is everything good?
Waalaikumsalam. My goodness gracious me. Thank you so much for such a generous introduction. I very rarely blush, but I think I was blushing just now. Thank you so much and good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, lastly, we got our third panelist here, Puan Anita Abu Bakar, President of MIASA, MIASA. MIASA stands for Mental Illness Awareness and Support Association. For your information, MIASA is a mental health advocacy and peer support NGO based in Selangor ever since September 2017. MIASA is known to promote awareness on the importance of good mental health. MIASA vision to be the leading voice in mental health education in support of people with mental health disorders. Assalamualaikum Puan Anita. How are
Waalaikumsalam
you?
warahmatullah. I'm well,
I-
alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, thank you. Wow, it's amazing to see everyone is feeling great today. What a good start we have, right? Yeah.
Yes,
We all
yes,
had good
exactly.
coffee, I think.
That's impressive one. Okay, the first topic that we are going to talk about is what is mental health, symptoms and sign. As you all may know, knowing the warning sign can help decide whether or not you need expert assistance. Getting an accurate diagnosis is the early step in many people's treatment plans. There is no medical test that can accurately diagnose mental illness, unlike diabetes or cancer. Without further ado, I would like to ask our panelists, Dr. Hijaz, can you share your view on the real definition of mental illness and what type of mental illness are there? Can you give us some comments about it?
Right. Thank you, Ms. Alia. Again, when we talk about mental illness, I think you made a really apt point when you said that it's not measurable clinically. You can't determine the levels of happiness in the blood. There's no blood tests to determine all that. So when we talk about defining mental illness, again, there's no one answer. Okay, we have definitions from WHO, American Psychiatric Association. Okay, but I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go into the technical aspect of defining something that is so wide. But what I would like to talk about is, again, when we talk about health, okay, instead of talking about mental health on its own, let's talk about health. Okay, so when we talk about health, one cannot claim, okay, that he is healthy, okay, if both aspects, the physical as well as the psychological health, is not taken into account. Okay, you may be young, strong, fit, athletic, but if you do not take care of your psychological health, then the definition of healthy may not apply to you. Okay, so when we talk about what is mental health, again, there is a range. Okay, the range is wide, and if you open any mental health textbook, it's rather, again it's difficult to conclude in one sentence. Okay, but what I can say is that if you feel, okay, that any of your symptoms, okay, your emotions affect your daily functions, okay, in terms of your social functioning, your occupational functioning, at home, at work, with your friends, then you may be exhibiting early signs of having a mental illness. Okay, you have to differentiate these emotions of what, okay, there's always a line between what is normal and abnormal. Okay, I'll give you an example. Feeling depressed or feeling sad, okay, is normal. Okay, that is the statement I'm going to make today. Feeling depressed, feeling anxious, feeling sad is normal. Okay, you have something happens to you. Okay, you lose something that's valuable to you. You feel sad. You feel depressed. Do you have a mental illness? Okay, the answer is no, because those are emotions that we're allowed to feel. Okay, we're allowed to cry, we're allowed to laugh, we're allowed to feel anxious, waiting for exams, waiting for results of the exams. We're allowed to do that because we are humans and we are designed to feel. Okay, but there is a line. Okay, there is that line when you cross it, i.e. when the emotions become something that affects, okay, as I mentioned before, your function. Okay, it affects, it is a major hindrance on your daily activity. Okay, those are the signs and symptoms that what you may feel, okay, the sadness you may feel, the anxiety that you may feel may actually be a sign of a mental illness. Number two, when we talk about mental health, okay, it is closely related to your physical health. Okay, when a person is affected emotionally, okay, to a certain extent, there will be physical symptoms. You will feel tired. You will find it difficult to sleep. You will find that eating is no longer a priority. You have no appetite. Okay, these are all signs and symptoms. When you have those physical symptoms, okay, those are other. That is another sign that you may be crossing into that line I've mentioned before between normal emotion and something that may constitute as a mental illness. Again, there is no black and white saying that, oh, if I cannot sleep, I have major depressive disorder. No. Okay, but when you have those telltale signs, what I'm saying is probably best for you to seek, expert opinions, from your counselors, from your psychologists, and from even your friends, actually, and also, and of course, doctors. Okay, if you feel that it has really, or you're having a risk of harming yourself or others, okay, those are the signs that you need to seek help. So again, I apologize for not defining it as per written in the textbook. I believe all of you are more adept at reading Google, Wikipedia, and so on. I believe that this is a generation that probably knows more than me in terms of this definition. But when you speak about understanding mental illness, I believe if you have a grasp of what is normal and what is abnormal, okay, it is easier for you to identify those symptoms within yourself rather than reading a dry definition of WHO defines mental health as having blah 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 blah. Okay, so I hope I've sort of answered the question. I welcome follow-up questions either from moderators or from the audience.
All right. Thank you, Doctor, for that answer. But Dr. Hijaz, if you don't mind, can I ask what are the symptoms and signs of mental illness? As we said just now, there are already a few symptoms and signs, right? So how are we going to detect them in the first place?
Okay, so specifically, signs and symptoms, again, depends on what mental illness you're talking about, okay, but the main things is when you talk about depression, anxiety, or even psychosis, okay, we're talking about feeling, having sadness, okay, that is prolonged, that is persistent, and that is not changing despite of what's going on around you. Okay, that is one of the telltale signs that you're having depression. Okay, this is different as opposed to feeling regular sadness. Okay, for example, you find out something that's not so nice, you feel sad, but then you open YouTube and you see a funny video and you're able to laugh. Okay, you're not able to do that in major depressive disorder. Okay, same as feeling anxious. Okay, anxiety, again, I keep on stressing the normality of these symptoms because that's what we feel every day. You're feeling anxious, you're waiting anxiously for your examiner to announce your results, whether you pass, whether you fail. Okay, that is normal. It becomes abnormal when it affects your sleep, when you're unable to go out because you're having physical symptoms such as palpitation or panic attacks, you're shivering at the thought of waiting for that. So again, the line between normal anxiety and abnormal anxiety. Okay, so I've talked about the two main ones, depression, anxiety. I don't have any slides that I can share, but usually if you draw a circle, okay, labeled mental illness, there will be many other symptoms. Okay, but in general, when we talk about mental illness, again, I would like to stress the symptoms, okay, vary between the normal stress symptoms that we feel. Okay, when we are stressed, how do we feel? Okay, we can feel sad, we can feel angry. Okay, we can feel that our heartbeat is higher than normal. You can feel that you're sweating easier than normal. You can feel that you get angry easily. Okay, those are the signs of symptoms that may suggest, okay, I stress on the word may suggest, that you might have mental illness. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for your insights, Dr. Ijaz. I am sure that all of the audience was blown away by your explanation. That surely opened up our eyes.
Okay, so Puan Johanna or Puan Anita, would you like to add something?
I think that maybe Puan Anita, I mean Miss, is it Miss Anita? I'm sorry, Cik Anita.
One.
Puan, yeah, okay. So maybe, so sorry.
It would be nice, but no.
Maybe you can share since that you set up your organization to be of a support group for those people who are experiencing mental illness. Maybe you can also share your lived experience of having mental illness so that people can see the difference between, a reactive mental illness, or not really mental illness, it's a reactive response to what's going on in your environment in comparison to something that is really clinical. Would you like to share?
Sure. Right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Puan Johanna, for the question. Thank you, Huda and Alia, our two moderators, and of course, my other panelist, Dr. Hijaz. Dr. Hijaz. Hope everyone is doing well. Okay, so when we talk about mental health disorders, obviously, coming to my question later would be on stigma. Obviously, there's a lot of stigma and discrimination when we talk about, mental health disorders. And one of the silver linings that has happened by this pandemic is we're now today able to normalize this discussion so much, taking away that shame, taking away that fear. So a lot of people feel more encouraged to speak out, to reach out for the help that they very much require and need. When we talk about mental health disorders, it can be debilitating if you do not get the treatment, if you do not get help, and if you don't have a good support system. So, those of you that are going through maybe mental health issues currently, please do something about it. What is important is take care of yourself, have a good work life balance, student life balance, sleep, sleep on time, have enough sleep, rest when you feel tired, create healthy boundaries. I know it's kind of difficult and challenging during this pandemic, but you've got to do that. Try to exercise as much as possible because you want to induce the good hormones. And of course, eat on time and eat nutritious food. Do things that you like, invest in hobbies. If you don't know what your hobbies are, this is a good time to for self exploration. So explore, things. This would be a good time, a good opportunity to do all that. And of course, social connectedness, very very crucial and important to engage and interact with family members, with friends. Try to make yourself useful, contribute to society. Doing volunteering work is extraordinary. Today we've seen the floods happening. If you guys can contribute, can help in whatever way possible, and of course, being a person with lived experience, going through that recovery process has been very, very challenging. I think being afflicted with a mental health disorder has been one of the hardest things I have ever gone through in my entire existence. Crossing over to recovery was even harder, but I think the message of hope is it is possible. Whatever mental health disorders any of you are going through at the moment, please know, please understand that you can recover. But the approach must be holistic, right? Try to vary all the different support that you are getting, right? Either from your friends, your family, find what works best for you so you do you. It doesn't necessarily mean when you have a mental health disorder you need medication. Medication isn't for everyone, so that conversation needs to happen. If you need to take it, please take it. If you don't feel comfortable, if you have reservations, if you feel there are side effects, please talk to your clinical psychiatrist, okay? Because at the end of the day, it must be an informed decision and it must be of informed consent. So, my advice or suggestion would be very, very much in that process of recovery, trust yourself in that process because only you know what you're going through. As much as possible, try to articulate it to your, therapist or your family members as much as possible, the best of your ability, so that they're able to at least understand it better, so that they're able to support you better in that process because you need that support. Having a good support system is really the best protective factor that a person can have. So that's it, just to begin with.
Okay, thank you so much, Puan
That's
Anita.
excellent. Excellent sharing.
Thank you.
Um, Actually, to be honest, I myself suffer from depression and anxiety, and I have been on three types of medication. I was diagnosed in 2013, and I've been on these medications ever since then. But the thing is, although I've been in practice and seeing clients for 26 years, I saw it. I saw the symptoms in my clients, but somehow or other I wasn't able to see it myself. And I think it's because we are not able to see the back of our heads. So, and so what happened was, I was dealing with the symptoms, and the first symptoms was due to my childhood trauma. I would have acute anxiety at night when everybody's asleep is when I would my anxiety would kick in, because when I was growing up as a child, it was it was more often than not I would hear my parents fighting, and my mom would burst into our bedroom and tell us to pack up our bags, and we'll be walking Jalan Ma'ruf at about 11 o'clock at night. So that's around the time that my anxiety would be triggered. And therefore, I am functioning normally during the daytime, but nighttime, when it's about to, time for sleep, that is when I will have these this very acute anxiety, and then I won't be able to sleep. And I would sleep on British time, Malaysians wake up, I go to bed because I follow the British timeline somehow or other. So, still being in denial, I was going through the alternate path, which is taking supplements, trying to find things that would help me fall asleep, trying St. John's worts, valerian root, what else? Ashwagandha lah, macam-macam. I tried everything, but it was just not working. Then I started having cold shoulders from the left, and then it moved to both sides, and then it moved to the right. So eventually someone said, maybe you should check your thyroid. Okay, so I went to an endocrinologist, had my blood checked, and he said my thyroids are fine. And so I said, then how can you explain all these things to me? Whatever that's happening. And then he said, maybe you need to see a psychiatrist. And that was when I blew my top and I said, don't you think I would know? That, if I needed psychiatrists, I would know. And true enough, when I submitted myself to see my psychiatrist for the first time, whom is a psychiatrist that I work along with on many of my clients, he diagnosed me with having depression for the whole of my life, actually. And so right after I started taking the medications they prescribed to me, everything, all the symptoms all just magically went away. When I wake up in the morning, my default mind would go straight to thinking, what's the saddest, worst thing that is happening in my life? But now, that pathway is just not available anymore. I wake up and I'm not able to think about anything that is upsetting. So this is the great distinction between someone who is suffering anxiety or depression, but it's because of what's going on in their environment currently, than someone who is actually having these mental illness and it's of a clinical nature. So that's how you know. Okay, so that's me sharing my own struggles with mental illness. Until today, it's a daily struggle to want to stay alive and be useful and serving my clients. But fortunately enough, that's my passion. And I truly believe that what I am doing, what I have been doing for the past almost 30 years is something that Allah has designed to be my purpose. So I'm very grateful for that. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
I'm just going to
Thank you.
interject.
Yes, continue, please.
Thank you very much for Johanna for that really enlightening story. I'm going to extract two really important points from Puan Johanna's story. Whereas when our brain, sometimes, again, back to what our moderator said, right? Apparently, psychiatric illnesses are not measurable clinically. However, to show you how real it is, let's talk about the physical symptoms of mental illness. So these physical symptoms are real. Regardless of their origin. If you have an issue, anxiety and depression, it can genuinely affect your biological symptoms. Symptoms of pain, having gastritis symptoms, feeling tired, not wanting to go out of bed, not being able to sleep no matter what you take, all these roots of things and warm milk and all these turun-temurun punya remedies that we've heard.
It doesn't work.
That doesn't work because it is actually it has a biological origin. And to reiterate the point further, it got better with medication. Now I'm not saying that the minute you come and see me or any other psychiatrist, I'm going to write down a prescription and give you antidepressants for life. No, but I'm saying that there is a biological origin. of mental illness. Okay, it is not as simple as dia ni iman tak kuat, dia ni tak cukup sembahyang,
Oh,
dia
yes.
ni jati diri yang lemah. Apologies for using these Malay terms, but I think most of you can relate to those sorts of stigmas, right, Puan Anita? Okay, these are the things that we need to educate the public on, where there is a biological origin. It responds to medication like diabetes responds to medication. It responds to medication like a urinary tract infection responds to medication, because it is a real illness. Okay, it is not something in your head, but there is a chemical and biological background behind this mental illness. And as Buan Johanna aptly put it, there was not a single reason for her to feel depressed, and yet she felt depressed. Okay, again, it comes back to how you want to define. I'm still answering the question and the definition of mental illness. How you want to define mental illness is difficult to define, but okay, we know that it is a genuine medical illness. I hope that point is, if you don't get much from today, at least you get that. All right. Apologies for interrupting. Please continue.
No worries, no worries. I think it should be that way. It should be a multiple way communication, because I think every one of us have experienced some form of depression or anxiety, and I think that those terms are quite intertwined often, and it's quite, what do you call it, popular term, but it's not similar to, oh, you know what, I missed the sale for a Gucci handbag, so I so depressed lah, pasal I tak dapat that sale discount too. That's a different kind of, that's not depression, that's you being disappointed, frustrated. Please use the proper term. And sometimes what you say as anxiety can just be nervousness, and it's a good form of anxiety. Not all anxiety is bad, right, Dr. Hijaz? Dead people don't feel anxious. For as long as you feel anxious, that means you are still alive, and life is throwing at you challenges, and it's making you feel excited, but you label it as anxiety. And when you label it as anxiety, it becomes something that is beyond your control. But if you say it's just nervousness, oh, okay, so I can control myself, right? So let's focus on that and not so much on the environment around me. Yeah, something along that line.
Yeah, on that point, Johanna, not all anxiety is bad. Okay, let me talk about that a bit. Okay, we were given this innate feeling to feel anxious, to feel stressed. Okay, and that the feeling of anxiety, the feeling of stress actually made sure that our nenek moyang survived the dinosaurs, they survived all the caveman period, because it is actually designed for survival. Okay, and it is normal and it is positive.
Yes.
As a student, we need that anxiety to get us through exams. Okay, when we're anxious, our adrenaline pumps up, our heart races, so we can stay up for longer hours when we read, because we know we don't want to fail. We're automatically focused. Okay, so that sort of positive anxiety is fine. Okay, so again, we talk about that line. When you cross that line, then there's something that needs to be discussed about. But in general, anxiety, stress can be positive. Okay.
Thank you so much for the answer.
That's
yes,
also,
Joanna?
Sorry, just to add on a little bit, there is such a thing as existential angst also, which comes in the form of being anxious, right? And thinking about what challenges have I not done yet, I'm crossing the age of 30, I'm going into my 30s now, or I'm going into my 20s now, and so what does life have in store for you? We are no longer in the pandemic era. Those 2 years have passed. Now we are in the endemic. So we really got to get on with the program and realize we are not in lockdown anymore, and life is up for the takes, but because of what had happened in the past 2 years, a lot of people are feeling anxious about their future. what is available out there for them, is if life out there is the same as for students. You know, you've taken up this course, whatever subject that you're studying, and you know, you had a target that you're going to go out and work, and you're going to secure a permanent job that gives you a monthly income. But now, in this time of endemic, the post-COVID work market looks very different than what it was before. So we are into the gig economy now, and unless you are well informed about the gig economy, it's going to make you feel anxious about whether you can find a job, whether there is any job out there available for you. And this itself can manifest in the form of, I hear birds. I don't know where that's coming from. Anyone else hearing birds? I hear birds.
You want to see me in my office, Johanna?
You're,
Joking.
oh yeah.
No, I'm joking.
I don't know what you dog. Are you hearing these birds?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's there. No worries.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm turning 57 this month, so I'm like, my train of thought goes very quickly, as this gets distracted. So I'm telling you again, for you all, the teenagers, the students of higher education, you're going to be thinking about your future, and you're going to be thinking about whether your dreams or your vocational dreams are able to be achieved. I'm telling you, in the gig economy, people really don't care so much about, when they're employing, they don't really care so much about paper qualification, but it's more about what you can do. So in order for you to like make your resume look beautiful, it has to have a variety of achievements that you have done, which you would be able to get from getting yourself involved in gig economy. That means doing work on a project basis, getting paid on a project basis, and people or the employers will look at your employability will depend on what is it that you can do rather than the paper qualification. So that's what's going on right now. This is post-COVID work, okay? Post-COVID workplace punya market. So if you go look into that, actually it'll take your anxiety quickly away, because you know, when you become informed of the things that are unknown, you will be pacifying any anxiety that you may have. So it's something that is within your control. That's all that I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Point Johanna, for the wonderful answer. Okay, there's a lot of questions on the comment section, but I think this the interesting one right there. They are The question is, they are very lack awareness and treatment on borderline personality disorder, and a lot of them are high functioning. How should we drive the awareness and also care for those with BBP? So, who wants to answer the questions? Let's
Oh, this
ask
has
for
got to
your
go to Dr.
first.
Hijaz.
Dr. Tejas, do you have anything to say?
Thank you, Jaya, for the really good question. Borderline personality disorder, obviously it's a rising number, especially among young people, among the youth, especially from the ages of your late teens until in your 30s now. Okay, and I agree, when we talk about personality disorders, we're talking about people who are high functioning, who contribute to society, but again have issues with regulating their emotions, with controlling their impulses, and so on and so forth. It's a rather general question. How can we drive the awareness and care? I think it's on the way. I think people, I think it has to be driven by those by these when yeah, exactly, who have them. I mean, we have groups such as IASA. I think there's not enough. Okay, I mean, we need more people. I mean, from our side, we are swamped, okay, with treating patients, with helping these patients, And of course, we in our free time, whenever we can, like during the weekends like this, we try as much as we can to spread the awareness regarding mental illness, anything, anxiety, depression, borderline personality disorders. I admit the glamorousness or the aura regarding the diagnosis of BPD is not as glamorous as when you talk about depression, anxiety, and so on, but it's there. Okay, and the only way that it's going to be something that is known is that if we talk about it. Okay, if we talk about it, and to who we talk about and how we talk about it, again, is up for discussion. But awareness, okay, it's the responsibility of everyone involved, those with the illness, those without the illnesses, us in primary healthcare, you students who coming here, listening to these kinds of talks. Okay, these are the things, the fact that you already know, or the fact that if some of you are just only now Googling what is borderline personality disorder, for me, that is a tick. Okay, that is enough. I mean, at least you know what it is. Right? Yeah, Puan Johanna, if you'd like to
I
add anything.
totally agree. Now, I think that the way we care for these, for those who have BPD, is that it has to be a collaboration between all the mental health professionals. There is no one field that can deal with this. It's got to be a collaboration. And I've dealt with many of persons with borderline personalities, and it's usually working a concerted effort between me and a psychiatrist. And so they see the psychiatrist for the medication diagnosis, and they come to me for the therapy. So this is the one that this is how we actually do it. But if you look at people who have cancer, then Magna is there in Malaysia for cancer, right? And the people who actually set up Magna are those people who suffered from is suffering from cancer. So it should be the same with any kind of disorder or illnesses that you want to bring about awareness of, for. It has to be from those people who are actually suffering from it, and then they become an association where they fight for each other's rights and find ways to get better treatment. I think that is very, very important. There's no point of just raising awareness if it's not for a better care for those people who are suffering any form of maladies. Yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you, Puan Johanna. So, Puan Anita, do you have experience on dealing with anyone who have borderline personality disorder?
Thank you very much for the question. Most definitely, being MIASA, we are a mental health advocacy and peer support group. So, as mentioned by Puan Johanna, we are people with lived experience. So the majority of us are people with the condition. The balance are caregivers and also mental health advocates, people that are passionate for the cause of mental health. So when we talk about people with borderline personality disorders, we've got a lot of these individuals at MIASA. From August 2020, after our RMCO happened, till November last year, we had about 96,000 people reaching out for the help at MIASA. So it's a lot. And many obviously fall in the youth group, right? A lot of teens, especially from the ages of 12 to 14 years old. And then 16 to 19, 20 to 24, that's also a big number. And many of them have borderline, but it's always a comorbidity with something else. So it could be a lot of times depression, bipolar as well, what we've seen at MIASA. And I feel that through the work that we've done, one of the most effective ways to really bring about awareness and talking about this is obviously contact-based education, right? So we've got to interact with people with the condition, because this would really help to reduce the stigma, to normalize the discussion, and for us to understand better. Because when there's insights from people with the condition, then obviously we will be able to support the person better. There will be more conclusive, solutions, and of course better treatments and help. So this is one of the ways I feel that we should work on. And the other thing is obviously when we run any campaigns on any mental health disorders, bringing about awareness or anti-stigma campaigns as an example, it must be led by in this context mental health peers, people with the condition. And the most effective campaigns ever that we've seen so far across the globe are when these people are ordinary people. A lot of people talk about public figures and celebrities, but in actual fact, based on research, it's the ordinary people that make the most impact because society can relate to them better. So this is one of the other ways that we can really work on, and of course the youth. You guys have really a loud voice, and if the youth work, more on normalizing this, I think we will be able to reach more people, and more people will definitely understand it. And of course, because half of all mental health disorders begin at the age of 14. So obviously this conversation is very important, since young, and we really need to normalize it so that, especially when kids, they're going through mental health issues, parents know what to do and they can get the interventions early and preventive measures can come in. Because I've also, or we've also seen at Miasa where in Malaysia, we're not very strong in preventive measures. So usually when people come in, they are already very severe. The ones that we've seen at Miasa. So even teens, even the youth, when they come in, they are already self-harming, battling suicidal thoughts and ideation. That is why Befrienders, gets influx of calls because people are already suicidal. And recently, October last year, we launched our 24/7 crisis helpline. We've had the crisis line for 2 years now, but October last year, we were able to run it for 24 hours. And this is really what we've been seeing. A lot of people every single day are choosing to die. And so that is why, since inception, Miasa's vision and mission has always been not only to save, to help people, but to save lives. And this is why we're very, very, humbled, and we feel very privileged to be able to do this work, especially now. Not only heading towards the endemic, of course, and looking at, possibly, a not very silent anymore mental health pandemic happening, and then all the different disasters that is currently, that we're currently facing. And I think it's also important to highlight where this is not something new. I think the irony of the whole thing is if you look at, throughout human history, we've gone through pandemics, we've gone through epidemics, war, famine, and people fall into depression. People go through anxiety disorder, PTSD, suicide risk increase. People end their lives resorting to harmful coping mechanism. We've seen, increased use in drugs, alcohol. But then when the pandemic of COVID-19 arrives, and here we are, people trying to reach for the help, and exactly what Dr. Hijaz was saying, we are now stretched very thin. As an NGO on the ground closest to the people, we're struggling, guys. A lot of people need help, and we're not able to save everyone. And so, one of the solutions that we talk a lot about is families must be empowered, the community must be empowered, task shifting must happen, because this is the only way that people that want to help, especially volunteers, first responders, they can now become a resource. And even you guys, obviously, even if you know places to get help, and you share it across social media, you're now a resource so that people don't have to struggle and suffer in silence and get the help late or even die. So it's a huge discussion. I'm very happy with the progress. I wish it was faster, but fortunately or unfortunately, through this pandemic today, we're seeing that increased, of help-seeking behavior, and also improvements in mental health literacy. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Puan Anita. So, without wasting any time, let's move on to the next one. We are going to discuss a topic about the common stigmas from the community towards those having mental health issues, how to overcome. So, why is it important to reduce stigmas about mental illness among our society? Well, the stigma of mental illness can lead to multiple fears of shame and self-consciousness. It can negatively affect help seeking, early detection, and prevention. Fighting mental health stigma is an essential approach to support your own mental health while also giving a voice to those who are suffering in silence. So, to Puan Anita, we believe that you also have seen so many issues about this topic, right? So if you don't mind me asking, since you approached multiple cases before, which stigma would you say is the worst one you have encountered?
Okay. I think when we talk about stigma, I call stigma the biggest barrier to mental health. Stigma is the true poison of it all because when stigma exists and individuals internalize stigma, especially, it hinders you from getting the help that you very much require and need. And we've seen a lot of stigma happening, the negative perception of society, where, people say those that or individuals who struggle with mental health disorders, they're crazy, they're violent, they're dangerous, they're weak-willed, they don't pray enough, they don't read the Quran, whatever religion it might be, you're not religious enough, you have a lot of sins in the past, etc., etc. But honestly, what I have really encountered via doing this work for 5 6 years now, being on the ground, the biggest stigma, the biggest misconception I have to say is generally the wider society feel that people or have this perception where people with mental health disorders can't recover. So that's usually what it is. And when, if you're, for example, if you're a therapist or, whoever that you're seeking help from, your family members, your friends, if they don't believe that you can recover, then it becomes very difficult for you yourself to feel that you can recover. Because in the beginning, when you're facing a mental health, condition, it's either you're gonna go through that, denial process. It's not easy to accept that you have a mental health disorder again because of the stigma attached to it. So it's a process. It will take time, and from there really understand accepting it firstly, but then really understanding it, learning your symptoms, learning effective coping mechanisms, getting out and really realizing that look, there is really a way out, there is hope, because when you're in that rut, right, you feel that you can't see a way out, you feel very trapped, you feel very hopeless in your recovery. So unless somebody reaches out to you and kind of supports you in that recovery journey, then it becomes easier. You don't need 10 people to support you. Even if you have that one person that can really support you in that recovery journey, then it becomes possible, then it creates hope. And that is why empowerment is so important in that journey. So that relationship um, is what needs to happen between a psychiatrist with the peer or the counselor, spiritual healer, peer-to-peer support, whatever it might be. And so one of the things that we do a lot of at Miasa is obviously peer support. And peer support is evidence-based, just if you guys don't know this already. And through peer support is where you're going to find a way out. You're going to find empowered, in that journey that you're going through. You will be able to grow together and understand, most importantly, that you can recover. So to answer your question, that would be the biggest misconception, the biggest stigma that we have witnessed till today.
Thank you so much, Puan Anita. So, these questions I want to ask to Puan Johanna. Okay, can I ask you, what are the common stigmas from the community towards those who are suffering from mental illness?
Okay, I'll have to say first and foremost, how the community views somebody who has mental illness is not as impactful as how the parents or the family of the person who is suffering from mental illness views that individual. Because if they say that, you know, the reason why you have this depression or anxiety is because you don't pray enough, you don't do remembrance enough, you don't, you know, and so it's all in your mind. And mind you, when you say that it's all in your mind, that's gaslighting. And there are a lot of parents who are so afraid of how they will be judged, or rather be perceived by their neighbors, by their family members, siblings, that makes them want to hide any mental illness that may be suffered by their own children. So I get calls from a 14-year-old who want to come for counseling, but as any good professional would tell you, anyone who is a minor, when they want to seek mental illness, mental services, mental health services, they need the approval, the permission of their parents. Yeah. So you just imagine how difficult it is for me to handle somebody who is a 14-year-old who's making the call and saying that she needs counseling, but her parents don't want her to seek counseling because they're afraid of what other people may say. Nanti apa orang kata, tak macam manusia, stuff like that. And they say, oh, you need to semayang more. You tak cukup puasa. Bila you jauh daripada Allah, then you will have, you know, all the demons and the jinns will come and possess you. I'm hearing too many of this. Okay. And so I think the stigma surrounding the parents and their culture in the family is most important and most, what do you call it, influential on the person who has mental illness, because that is the stopgap point where they allowed to seek help or not. It is by their parents, whether the parents allow them, support them to seek help or not. So I am seeing a lot of the among the parents, those who are of baby boomers, meaning born before 1965, they tend to be very supportive parents. Interestingly enough, I have to admit that what makes them supportive is because they have gone overseas, they have studied overseas, their worldview is wider. So they are more receptive to the idea of mental illness is a part of our life. But the ones who are very narrow-minded, parents who are narrow-minded, are the ones who believe that, oh, okay, having a religion is enough, having God is enough. I don't think they would want to pray away a cancer or a toothache, but they expect those who have depression and anxiety or any other other form of mental illness to just pray away, and it will go away. And it doesn't help either when there are several, one or two, I can't say more than one and more than five. What do you call it? These religious advisors or speakers, the ustads or this imam or whatever, who are saying that, yeah, mental illness actually does not exist in Islam, and it makes the people who have this mental illness suffer furthermore. And it doesn't help also when the parents of the people who suffer from depression or anxiety subscribe to that ustaz, just because that ustaz said that. So they can't, you know, they can't even seek mental health support or treatment simply because their parents think, oh, you're just like this because you're not a good enough Muslim. So I'm getting this not just in Malaysia, but among the clients that I have, the ones in Singapore, who are Malay Muslims, Singaporeans, and their parents are just too judgmental of the mental health profession. So they seek to someone like me because they feel that I'm able to help them establish some boundaries so that they are able to seek help without allowing their parents' opinions affect them too much. This is very close to home. So like I say, I wouldn't care so much about the community at large, what the community thinks about mental illness. In fact, we see there are billboards of the mind faculty and other counseling centers. So it is even if the stigma is there, I would say it's not the same as how it was when I first started out, before there were mobile phones, or even before there were what do you call it, internet, okay, and websites, okay. So if I was able to establish a private practice back then, 26 years ago, what more now? All the ones that have just come up over the past 2 to 5 years are mostly those who had just mushroomed. It's just mushroomed. But 20 years ago, it was either the pejabat agama or the church. There was none that was secular. There was none that was for people who just want to find a place that they can talk, not linking it with any religion. So that's how I see the stigma has evolved. Yeah. And also I am seeing that people are glamorizing the labels of mental illness. Oh, I have depression, I have anxiety, woe me. Okay. And this doesn't help either. But also, I heard just now Dr. Hijaz was saying that most psychiatrists are not very eager to just, they're not drug addicts, they're not drug pushers, eager to just prescribe medication. They look thoroughly at the patient to make sure that they really need it. So there are people who actually look for diagnosis because they want the label. So they say, oh, I am this. And it becomes a crutch for their life to be able to avoid the responsibilities of real life. I understand they are afraid. Life is full of uncertainties, but some people do resort to this kind of glamorized labels of mental illness and say, oh, I have this. And it becomes a disability. But when they're treated as a disabled person, they get upset. So they want what would I say? They want the benefits of being called, having the disabled label, but at the same time they want to be treated like have the privilege of people who have no disability. So they need to choose: are you able or disabled? And sometimes with learned helplessness, when we do for someone something that they can do for themselves, we disable a very able person. So we need to look at why people want to seek mental help. Not all of them are genuine. Some of them are just merely looking for ways to manipulate other people so that they can get through life without much hassle. So that, on the other hand, will leave those people who are really suffering in a huge predicament because people don't believe them, how serious their problem is. So this is the kind of stigma that I'm more concerned about rather than the community. Because as far as stigma in community is concerned, look, the mental health profession has been flourishing. There's a lot of centers that are out and they are doing so well. My organization, my outfit is an NGO, but the clinics who actually run mental illness, mental health services as a business, they are flourishing. So as far as the community is concerned, the stigma is almost irrelevant. But in the home of the people who suffer from mental illness, that's my huge concern. And that is where we need to bring about awareness. And usually when we're dealing with parents who are baby boomers or Gen X, some of them, their minds are so set because on the MBTI, on the MBTI personality, they are judging. So, they will not be open to the opinions of others. So this is the huge struggle of a person who has mental illness, but has parents who are very judging of them. And this happens among parents, yeah. Because I had a good friend who told me, Johanna, my daughter just dropped a bomb on me. I said, what? Oh, she told me she has depression and she needs to see a counselor. is such a catastrophe for them, for their child, to have any form of mental illness, because a lot of the parents, especially the mothers, will think, where did I go wrong? What did I didn't do enough of? And 50% of the time, I'm catering to the guilt of the parents rather than the person who is suffering the mental illness. Dr. Ijaz, would you like to add?
Yeah, fair enough, I guess. We tend to doubt our own capabilities when we have a child complaining of depression, simply because there's a stigma surrounding depression or anxiety. So immediately when you say, I have a potential mental illness, I want to see a psychiatrist, I want to see a counselor, it's exactly as Puan Johanna puts it, the world comes crumbling down. It's the end of the world. The daughter's going to be on medication for the rest of her life. She'll have no future. She won't get a job. Nobody wants to marry her. That is stigma. That is stigma in a nutshell. Okay, so Puan Anita, Johanna has put it very well, right? And how stigma, it's pandemic. Okay, it's endemic, pandemic, whatever. It's not constrained to our aunties and uncles in the urban village. No, this is international. I mean, there's a global issue regarding stigma. Okay, and the only way around it is to build up awareness as we are doing today. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for that answer. Where we have a question from Puan Sherlina in the comment. She said, my 19 years old daughter is diagnosed with depression. Though as doctor mentioned earlier, there is no logical reason for her to fall into such a state. So the question is, we, the family and her psychiatrist have yet to determine the cause and the trigger. But as a mother, I feel so helpless. So how do I help her recover? So this is, I guess, for Dr. Hijaz, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so. Again, they can. Thank you, Puan Sherlina. I empathize with the difficulties you're having. Obviously, it's not an easy. It's not an easy test. It is not an easy challenge to get through when our own family, our own blood and flesh, your daughter, diagnosed as depression, and as a mother, as somebody who has brought her up from she was a wee baby and now she's almost an adult. Our innate, our paternal instinct is that I need to I need to protect my daughter. I need to find an answer. How can I cure her? How can I help recover? But my advice, my general advice, obviously with the limited information we have today, is that give it time. Okay, be there and have patience. Okay, it sounds rather simplistic. Okay, you can question, Dr. Hijaz comes with a whole load of credentials and he's asking me to be patient. But it actually stresses a point where mental illness or depression specifically sometimes require, sometimes the most the solution lies in time. Okay, as your daughter grows up, gets some maturity, learns more about herself, these are the things that are going to help her find who she is, find her own triggers, why she's depressed. Yes, now maybe we don't know because I'm not sure how old, I assume quite young. Sometimes in your youth, you're struggling to find identity, you're struggling with so many things. I mean, the youth today, I cannot imagine what you're going through with the pandemic and all sorts of challenges. It is different from the youth maybe 10 years ago. Okay, you are a select bunch of people. Okay, so having that challenge, okay, it's not easy. All right, so have patience. Time will tell, and bear in mind that depression does not always have to have a trigger. Right, the most important thing you can do as a mother, okay, is to actually be there. Okay, it's simple as that. to be there, okay, because there will come a time when your daughter will need you, or maybe, I mean, of course she needs you even now, but there will become a time where she'll be thinking, I'm in trouble, I need to talk to someone, and be that person, be there. Okay, so sometimes when we offer help, okay, it is just not the right time. Okay, those who are in severe depression, sometimes they feel that they are shut off from the world. Okay, but do not give up. Okay, have faith. Adhere to whoever needs to be adhere. Go to the psychologist, psychiatrist. Adhere to the treatment. Okay, and have faith that there will be light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, it takes time. Depression is not a lifelong illness. People recover. Okay, that is something that you need to bear in mind. People recover from depression. Okay, so yeah, that would be my general advice. I wonder if any of our other panelists have anything to say. I'm sure you
Yep.
have more experience. Yeah,
If I may add, yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Hijaz. If I may add, I think what is really important, especially since she's 19, whatever age it might be, but especially because she's a teen, young adult, is that we please hold space for her, validate what she's going through, listen, to understand, have empathy, have compassion. We've run a lot of surveys. I think we did two a couple years ago, and many of the adolescent and university students told us that they want to be heard. They want their parents to hear them out. They want to be validated. That they're going through stress as well. They feel very pressured, and so what we've seen is by holding that space, by making them feel heard, by validating what they're going through, it really helps to reduce whatever struggles that they're currently feeling. So it could be anxiety, it could be depression, it could be panicking, fear, whatever it might be. And I think the other thing as well, if we don't understand it, please do seek knowledge, because when you have some understanding about your child's symptoms, it will really help you to respond better. It will really help you to support your child better. So this is also very important, and you will be able to understand why they're feeling a certain way, why they are behaving a certain way. Because if not, you will feel helpless. You will probably feel angry a lot. Um, you will also feel very tired, because you will always question yourself, why isn't my child getting better? How long would it take? Imagine how your child feels, because he or she is going through that condition. And again, it's not easy. Psychological pain is it's excruciating pain. So it will take time, like what Dr. Hijaz says. Don't benchmark the recovery of your child with someone else. So maybe your friend tells you, my child has it too. It took her 2 years to recover. Please don't benchmark your child against that person's recovery, okay? Because that will make it worse. And try to empower your child. Make her feel useful. Encourage her to do things with you slowly. And when you want to probably suggest something or ask questions or give her some instructions, please do it in minimal words and sentences, because up here, it's catastrophic, let me tell you. Dia macam berceramuk, serabut atas ni. So it takes time. So yeah, hope that helps.
Puan Anita is yes, Puan Jana.
No, I was just reiterating what both our panelists had said. I think a message to the mother, that the reason why Dr. Hijaz says to be patient is because any mental illness is not developed overnight. So the healing, or the healing cannot get done overnight as well. So it takes time to manage and heal. But the most important thing for you as a mother, being a caregiver, like Puan Anita said, being a caregiver and a support to someone who has mental illness is very exhausting. So do practice self-care. Take good care of yourself, because when you're exhausted, you're of no good to your daughter. So you need to take care of yourself in order for you to care for your daughter. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, I agree with you, Puan Johanna. Puan Anita, is there a member in MIASA ever come up with such a situation where they come up and say their family is not supporting, and how do you respond to them?
Of course. I think that's quite common. And what we always tell them is please give them a chance because, we've been normal before. We know how it is. And it's not easy because a mental health disorder isn't something that you can see with your naked eye. Your struggles and challenges isn't immediately evident to the person, to the caregiver, to your family, to your friends. So it will take time for the other person to understand as well. So obviously, a lot of people do, come to Miyasa and say their families are not supportive. If they're underage, um, which many are, usually what we tell them is there must be someone that your parents look up to. Talk to that person, talk to that adult, so that adult can serve as a link. Because usually what happens is we listen to the person that we respect, we listen to the person that we look up to, right? So this could be a solution. And I think the other thing as well is try as much as possible to provide information slowly to your family, and as much as possible try to slowly articulate and educate them of what you're feeling and what you're going through. I know that sometimes it's difficult, and because of the pain that you're feeling, it can be very very challenging. But that is the only way for them to really understand. And being caregivers, please learn, please seek knowledge. Psychoeducation is so important, and a lot of times why people end up in hospitals or being institutionalized, which they shouldn't, is because the family, they're not able to handle the person, their loved ones. The community rejects them, or we don't have solutions or a sustainable model to keep them in the community, when in actual fact recovery is in the community. And a lot of times what we've seen is, as an example, a person goes through a mental health disorder. There's a lot of stigma, there's a lot of discrimination. They've gone through that recovery process, they have already recovered, but they're not able to reintegrate into society. Employers don't want to take them in. They get discriminated, and then what happens is, finally, when their caregivers die, they don't have basic needs, they don't have roof on top of their head, they don't have a way to support their livelihood. They will fall through the cracks of the system, and this is how people end up homeless. This is how people end up incarcerated in prison or institutionalized, because recurrence of episodes happens, relapses happen. And we see this a lot because Miyasa, one of the big things that we do is we help the vulnerable and marginalized groups. So we work on the homeless, B40s, a lot. So this is what we've seen, and it's a great struggle on the ground. Very sad to see what is currently happening and continues to happen. But again, the pandemic has really highlighted how polarized, the society is, and how unequal the access to mental health services are, access to information is, how we wish for a fairer social system. And I really hope that moving forward, coming out from this pandemic, that we take great lessons from it, that we will build systems that are stronger, solid, fairer, more inclusive, so that no one gets left behind. Because people with mental health disorders, people with disabilities, are left furthest until today in the context of inclusion and in the context of human rights. So that is why in Malaysia, we see people, getting coerced a lot. Restraints still happen. Institutionalization is still big. We've got to expand community mental health services. So recovery is in the community. I hope we all understand this. We have a role to play, and everyone must play this role. So this is the only way for peers to be able, mental health peers or people with the condition, to come back to society, lead normal lives, lead productive lives. Being students, look up the recovery model, because what the recovery model talks about is anyone with the condition, we are beyond our symptoms. We're not our symptoms. We can thrive in this journey, and we must. And I feel as much as possible, at Miyasa, one of our roles is empowering the person, most definitely, but supporting the person to make that decision for themselves. Because sometimes what I've seen through this work that we do as well is a lot of our peers, especially those with more chronic conditions, those that go through psychosis, for example, um, we must understand that we have to support them in making that decision for themselves, even at their most crisis, even though they're in deep crisis. Because let me tell you, from the individuals that we've helped, be it the homeless, B40, whatever it might be, they know. It's not that they don't realize it. You might think that it is a great solution for them in the short term, but in the long term, it creates a lot of harm. I'm not able to expand much on this because it will take a while, but I really hope that we understand that we must move beyond what we're doing right now to improve social inclusion and life chances for people with mental health disorders. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer, Puan Anita. So I see one other comment in other question in the comment section. There is Claire Lona. She asks, "Good morning. I would like to ask a question. Why did I always show my depression state to a person that I really close instead of my family members? Is it normal or not?" So I guess this
Okay.
would be to what Johanna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sweetheart, Claren, Lana. Okay.
Lona.
Look, Claren, Lana. Good morning. Sweetheart, I have only one thing to say to you. It's okay for you to need mental health more than you need your mommy. And what I mean by that is sometimes the support that we need can only be given by someone who's not related to us, but you're close to them because they're not judgmental of you. And I'm not saying that your mom is or your dad is just judgmental of you, but then you're afraid how they would react, and to a certain degree as a child you also protect your parents. So I appreciate that and I respect what you're doing, and it's normal for you to talk to someone who is outside of your family members. Okay, it's normal. We will tend to look for people who can give us the support that we need, and sometimes our parents are just not able to do that because they don't know how to. They just know how to be a father or a mother to you, but they don't know how to give the support that you need because they don't know how it looks like. That they don't know how it feels like because it's different from parenting. Parenting and being and actually being supportive of someone who has depression is very very different. So um, sweetheart, just remember this. It's very very normal. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
So
Dr.
Dr. Just,
Hijaz, you want
would
to
you
add?
like to add something?
It by no means, when you're in that situation, does not negate the love you feel for your parents. I think that was the main point of what Puan Johara is trying to say. We, we have that guilt saying that, oh, our parents brought us into this world, they raised up, they taught us everything we need to know about life. Why am I not talking to them about my depression? Why am I talking to some, well, not some, maybe my close friend that I've just known for the past 2-3 years, who I feel understands me more? Okay, that's totally understandable, totally normal, and the most important thing that it does not negate your love for your parents. Okay, so do not feel guilty about it. Nothing wrong with it.
All right. So we have one last question for one Anita. Would you mind? What would you say about the consequences to towards people suffering from mental illness if the stigmas continue?
Okay. Obviously, if the stigma continues again, and if individuals with mental disorders internalize it, then it will hinder them from getting that treatment. That's one. Two, when they don't disclose their condition, in the workplace, as an example, they do not want to disclose it. They become very afraid. They're embarrassed. Many people go through employment. They don't assert their identity at all. And so, one of the things that I always say is, if you're ready, do disclose your condition because it paves way for other people with the condition as well. And if we want change, then we must do something about it, right? Speaking up, how does it translate to action? Because one of the things that I always say is, today, all of you being here, listening from Dr. Hijaz, Puan Johanna, and myself, you might feel, okay, now you understand it better. But the question is always, what are you going to do with the knowledge that you have acquired, right? When you see someone being stigmatized or someone being discriminated, are you going to speak up? Are you going to say something? Are you going to do something? So, what remains to be seen is the translation into a change in behavior. Although more recent research and articles have shown that what really needs to happen is beyond the translation to change in behaviors and attitude is, again, we need to talk about how do we improve social inclusion, how do we help peers to reintegrate back into society, and how do we support them in their life and livelihoods. So you can see how that ties up, because when there's stigma, it will lead to discrimination, and when that happens, it will be challenging for people with mental health disorders to sustain their jobs in the workplace. So that's one of the solutions that we've provided at MIASA. We've created our pilot, supported employment program. We've run 3 batches starting from 2020. And I think it's a great program because we're able to support our peers in that process, and we're able to provide psychoeducation to the employers. Employees understand better, so it's like a win-win situation because people can work, and we want people to be comfortable, disclosing that they have the condition. Because if not, you will always feel, that there's something hanging around. If you want to take MC, it's going to be challenging. When you're not feeling well in the workplace, it's going to be challenging, especially if you go through panic attacks or you battle suicidal thoughts, for example. Where do you go? Who do you talk to in the workplace? Who supports? But if you're able to disclose this because you don't internalize stigma, you know that your employees are supportive of your mental well-being, then there is a peace of mind. And you will be able to feel happier. You'll be able to be more productive, because the economic cost of mental health disorders in the workplace are billions of dollars every single day, every single year. What more with this pandemic hit, where more people are struggling today with mental health issues and mental health disorders. So definitely, the impact of stigma, the consequences are great overall.
Thank you so much, Puan Anita, for your delightful answer. So thank you very much to our panelists for your delightful sharing. Well, look at the time. We have passed the hour mark already. So let's have a short break, shall we? 5 minutes for all of you to get a drink and some refreshment. We will resume shortly.
Thank you. Thank you,
friendly
everyone.
reminder, everyone can click the lucky draw. Comment with hashtag MYM for a higher chance to win. Bye guys.
MYM.
MYM.
All my love is gone and the hills I'm standing all alone and I'm searching for something, but I can't feel nothing. I found my past and go, there's no feeling like home, no morning. All because of you. Another story that's settled through. I can feel the pain, can you had to be the one who let me down. Look out of the blue. Here to see you with someone new. I put a curse on her and you. And I'm looking back now, you're dead and gone. My love is gone too. Oh, my love is gone. 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 Now you're dead and gone.
Remember those walls I built? Well, baby, they are tumbling down. They didn't even put up a fight. They didn't even make a sound. I found a way to let you in, but I never really had a doubt. Standing in the light of your halo, I got my engine now. It's like I've been awakened. Every rule I had to break is the risk that I'm taking. How you never gonna shut you out? Everywhere I'm looking now, I'm surrounded by your embrace. Baby, I can see your halo. You know you're my saving grace. You're everything I need and more. It's written all over your face. Baby, I can feel your halo. I pray it won't fade away. I can see your halo. Hidden like a ray of sun, burning through my darkest night. You're the only one that I want. Think I'm addicted to your light. I swore I'd never fall again, but this don't ever feel like falling. Gravity can't forget to pull me back to the ground again. It's like I've been awakened. Every rule I had to break is the risk that I'm taking. I ain't never gonna shut you out. Everywhere I'm looking now, I'm surrounded by your embrace. Baby, I can feel your halo. Pray it won't fade away. Halo. Oh, I can see you halo. Everywhere I'm looking now, I'm surrounded by your embrace. Baby, I can see your halo. You know you're my saving grace. You're everything I need and more. It's written all over your face. Baby, I can feel your halo. I pray it won't fade away. Halo. Oh, I can see your halo.
Welcome back, everyone. Wow, what a performance by the singers, right? Thank you to Miza Udina and Nisha Nabila for the amazing performance. But before that, I have a gentle reminder. Everyone can click the lucky draw link in the description below. So don't forget to hashtag MYM for the higher chance winner. Okay, now let's continue with our next topic, a helping hand, those in need and succor. Evidently, mental illnesses do not improve on their own. The longer an illness lasts, the more difficult it is to treat and recover from it. Untreated mental illness like depression, anxiety can develop into panic attacks, and trauma can lead to post-traumatic stress disorder if it's not treated. Early diagnosis generally provides greater result. So, Dr. Hijaz, is mental illness curable? If so, what are the treatment options for the mental illness?
Is mental illness curable? Yes. Yeah, that's it. We can end. It's not. It's not a straightforward answer. Juanita highlighted the issue, the concept of recovery in mental illness, where sometimes we define being cured as being free of symptoms, whereas if we look at the concept of recovery, means that we have gone back to our normal routine. We're able to assimilate ourselves back into society. We can work, we can function, we can contribute in spite of the symptoms, in spite of having to be on medications. Okay, that will be the highlights, or that would be probably the in thing now, where we're targeting, because again, from the discussion, we know that there is no instant cure for mental illnesses. Okay, whereas where in the initial part I answered yes, it's correct. Yes, there is a cure for mental illness. You can be you can have depression and be in remission for many years, but to get to that stage will not be an easy journey, will not be a short journey. Hence, we come back to the concept of recovery. Okay, so you can recover from mental illness. There's no question about that. Okay, it's all about mindset. Okay, I'll give you another example outside of mental illness. Let's talk about diabetes. Okay, can you cure diabetes? Some say no, but you can live with diabetes. We can manage with diabetes. Person walking around who's on medications, insulin, and so on, still can function, probably function as well as any other person, except when he goes home or when he eats, he needs to take care of his sugar intake and he needs to take medications to control the symptoms. The same with mental illness, where in the initial stage, probably there's no cure per se. Okay, you don't see me today and by tomorrow you're up and running. No. Okay, it takes time. Okay, again, depending on that person's timeline, each person is individualized in terms of his recovery and his remission of symptoms. But to get to that stage, it's very possible. Okay, especially with the support system we have right now. Lots of NGOs. We have a very developed mental health system, both in the public sector as well as the private sector, which is booming very well compared to the 4 or 5 years ago when I started my practice. Is very much developed. So those with mental illness, you have many reasons to be optimistic. Okay, you have many reasons to be optimistic because the opportunity is there. And of course, we talked about stigma, about the society and so on, but those are the challenges that we can just walk through. We walk through it together, and God willing, inshallah. There's no issue of not being able to live normally with a mental illness. Okay.
Okay. But doctor, since there are treatments for it, how long will it take for someone to recover from the illness, and how effective is drug treatment for mental illness patients?
Juanita is smiling very widely at that question. I think, I understand.
But Aita can add
the.
something after this.
Sorry.
But Aita can add something.
Yeah,
after
sure,
this.
definitely. I think I understand reasons why we would smile at this question, because that is the question that we face every day every single patient will ask, doctor, when will I be cured? How long do I have to be on this medication? Doctor, I like you, but how long do I need to keep seeing you? You know, those sort of questions. We get that every day, hence the smile, I think. Again, it's not fair to put a timeline on a mental illness, you know, depression, anxiety, borderline. There is no timeline. Okay, and sometimes when I talk about recovery, it is how you define recovery. For example, you still might have symptoms, you might still be on medication, but you would define yourself as, hey, I'm a survivor, I'm a fighter, I'm back to my normal self in spite of the symptoms. So the specific answer on how long it will take to recover, it depends on the person. Okay, it may range from years to many years to, yeah. Okay, and in terms of the treatment, yeah, I guess we can talk about that. We all know that doctors are synonymous with giving drugs, injections, and tying up patients in the ward. Again, there's a lot of stigma relating to that as well, in terms of the profession of psychiatry, psychology. But I assure you that that's not what's going on. Each person is different in the way they present, in the severity of their symptoms. Each person is individualized in terms of the treatment approach. We have pharmacological treatments, we have psychological treatments, we have socialized treatment, and we have spiritual treatment. That means there are many branches of treatment that is available, and all four can actually be going on at the same time. Okay, so when we talk about pharmacological treatment, yes, that is probably what people can say my expertise, you know, drugs, okay, medication that can help alleviate the symptoms, you know, in terms of calming you down, in terms of regulating your mood, or you know, dimming down the psychosis that you're feeling right now, or so those are options in terms of medications. And then psychological treatments, Johanna, Johanna will be very familiar with that. You know, you have your cognitive behavioral therapy, psychodynamic therapy, dialectic behavioral therapy. The list goes on and on. But it's very individualized. There's no one treatment. Okay, doctor, what is my treatment? Okay, each person will have a different answer. Some people might not even require treatment. Some people might just come to therapy to talk, and that is treatment itself. Okay, so yeah, that's in general summary of the answer, I guess. I would invite the other panelists to share their opinions as well.
Go on, Puan Anita.
I don't have much to add, but like Dr. Ijaz was saying, it's a very common question, and the reason for this question is because, yeah, when we're going through a mental health disorder, we're very desperate because we want to get relief as much as possible, and we want, you know, a timeline so that we know that okay, in 6 months I'm going to be okay, that kind of thing. But really, I wish I knew the answer. Nobody knows. Like what Dr. Ijaz is saying, it really depends. It depends on your situation at the current moment, at which point of your um, you know, condition or situation are you seeking for help. Is it already severe, you know, or are you just going through some symptoms? What kind of treatment are you getting, acquiring? You know, what kind of support system do you have? What is your environment like? So there's a lot of factors really. So I think what is important is have a holistic approach to your recovery. Learn about your symptoms. Know that you can recover because, you know, when I was going through a very difficult time in the beginning, I went to see my gynecologist first before I went to see a psychiatrist. And the reason for this is because 10 years ago, I was diagnosed 9 years ago. So during that time, we didn't know where to go. We're very confused, right? So the only person I trusted was my gynecologist because I've been with her for 10 years. And so she was the one that referred me to a psychiatrist and told me to go and see a psychiatrist because the first thing I said to her was, I'm not crazy. Why should I see a psychiatrist? And then she explained it to me. I understood it. I trusted her. She gave me a referral letter, and that was how I landed in the psychiatrist room. And I think one of the most important things that she said was, because I asked her that question, I asked my gynecologist that question. I said, "Can I recover? Is there a way out? Is there hope?" And then she said, "You have a 99% chance to recover." And when she said that to me, it gave me so much hope. Although I went through a lot of rock bottoms after that statement. But really, when you're in that situation, you're in this dark and deep hole, you can't see a way out, you feel so trapped, you feel so hopeless, and then someone that you trust tells you that you can recover. Let me tell you, that's a huge wow moment. It just gives you that motivation. You feel, okay, maybe I can do this. um, so it's not easy, guys. It's tough. It's hard. It's excruciating pain. If you are going through a mental health issue, do something about it. Don't wait, okay? And don't be ashamed. Don't be scared. Like Dr. Hijaz, when Johanna said, there's so many clinics ataupun hospitals, NGOs, private centers that are available today that you can reach out for the help, and a lot of helplines as well. Because again, if you're going through a mental health issue, not everyone needs clinical intervention. If you can just speak to a person and um, talk to someone, get it all out, it can really help you to reduce a lot of that burden that you're feeling. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, if I may add, um, recovery is a beautiful journey for, and I'm speaking on like as a person who is still in recovery, meaning if I'm recovered, then I wouldn't need medications anymore, right, Dr. Hijaz? But for as long as I'm on it means I'm still recovering. And I have to say, it is a very, very beautiful journey because it shows you what you have survived thus far. It can actually help you focus on your strengths. And every scar that you have, you should wear it with pride because it shows what you've gone through and what you've survived. And there is nothing more affirming than when you see what and where your strengths are. So I would suggest, people say that they write diaries, they write journals, and they write notes like gratitude journals, writing 5 things that you're grateful for in the day. That can be a good start for looking at the good things in life, what is beautiful about life. And sometimes to come up with even one in a day, when, especially when you're having a depressive crash and you don't feel like you have the energy to get out from your bed. Going to the toilet to pee is just like climbing Mount Everest. You wake up in the morning and you feel like you don't want to die, but you don't have the energy to live either. And when your friends call or people call you on the phone, you look at the number and you don't take that call simply because the person that they're looking for is currently unavailable. And you feel as though you are being a burden to the people that you love. No one understands you. You feel left out. Um, Basically, that's the basic script that goes on in a mind of a person who has depression. And I thought about death as well, but I also thought about all the sins that I haven't repented enough, so that made me be afraid of even thinking about ending my life. So maybe being a Muslim to a certain degree has helped with my, my being alive. But should you find yourself in the situation where you are not able to find a support system that is most suitable for you, my suggestion to you is to be your own support system. So for those of you who are out there and listening, and if you find this is a good idea, do share it with the people that you care about. This is my suggestion. Tonight, write a letter or a short note to your tomorrow self, so that when you wake up in the morning, you can read a letter from you, the yesterday you, and it will be filled with all the good things, all the things that you have done well yesterday, and also how to tackle today, meaning for tomorrow. So if you get what I'm saying, right? Write a letter to yourself and be your own support system, because no one understands you better than you, and you are the expert of your own life. No one understands your suffering as you do. So instead of being impatient and wanting to heal quickly, be grateful for the scenic route when you are on your recovery journey, because it is indeed beautiful. I would liken being depressed is like being stuck in a very deep, dark jungle, and you don't have anyone else there but you. So imagine if you had just come out of that forest after being alone for so long. You will experience a sort of a culture shock to your what do you call it, your senses. Suddenly it's sensory overload, too many people talking at the same time, too many stimuli, and you'll be feeling overwhelmed. So you need to trust the process of that recovery, because there is a reason why it's taking its time. Your brain knows what's good for you. So if it's taking its time in its healing, it's because that's the best pace for you. It's the best pace for you, not to be too quick in wanting to recover. Okay? So it is not a sign of weakness if you take a longer time. It's just your brain making sure that when you actually recover, you are able to reintegrate yourself into the community, into your environment seamlessly, not with so much, what you call it, resistance from yourself. Okay? Because when you go through the healing process, you will actually change. And not everyone in your family or your friends will be happy with that change, because that change may include you excluding some people in your life. They're suddenly, people you don't want to talk to anymore. And maybe they were a source of your stress. Not that they were purposely doing that, but it just maybe just so. So trust the process and trust the timing of the process. Your brain knows what it's doing, okay? And it's always knowing what is best for your own survival and preservation. So you need to trust that. Okay.
All right. Thank you that that unexpected answer. So, Puan Johanna, if you don't mind,
Yes.
based on your experience, why are most individuals hardly open up? And
Why they hardly
how,
open up? Okay.
yes, and how effective are therapy and counseling for mental illness patients?
Okay. The reason why they hardly open up is because a lot of people around them are probably very judgmental. They have trust issues probably as a result of that. And therefore, they just clam up. They don't talk about their problems to anybody. What I see a lot of is when clients come into counseling with us, the moment I ask them, may I know why you're here today? They would immediately break into tears, and they will say, I really hate this, when they're crying, when they start crying. And the reason why, I asked them, why is it that you're crying? I mean, you haven't said anything. And they said, it's such an overwhelming sense of relief that I finally find a place that I trust to open up. Okay, and so usually the counselors don't get to choose we as counselors don't really get to choose our clients. Usually our clients are the ones who choose us, and I would ask them, why did you choose me? And they say, you have a face that I believe I can trust. So yeah, and some of them say, oh, you know, you got a good hearty laugh. Somehow or other, the way you laugh make me feel that I can trust you. So sometimes people choose us because they feel that they can trust us. And without trust, there is no therapeutic alliance. Therapeutic alliance is when we work together with the client. And a lot of the clients who come and see me, as you know, our slogan for MY Confidential Association of Private Counselors is that your privacy is our priority. They come to us for privacy. They come to us for confidentiality. They come to us for counselors who are professional and who have integrity. And we are registered and licensed with Lembaga Counselor. Should we do anything that is unethical, they have Lembaga Counselor to go to complain about. This is the good thing about coming to see a registered and licensed counselor, which is something that you know, if they go to just anywhere, and if the person that they are seeing is not a licensed counselor, should that person do anything that is unethical, there is no one or no organization or no governance that would actually hold them accountable for that. And there's a lot of passive aggressive bullying, judging that's going on among those kind of counselors. This is the thing that I'm hearing a lot of. Yeah, so when they come to a place where they feel that they are safe and they are able to open up and talk about what's bothering them without feeling that there's anyone there who's judging them. Should they even talk about drugs or alcohol or sex or whatever, they can talk about it to me, and I'm able to accept them unconditionally. Right? I don't judge them for what they do. I'm there to help them understand where they are and how they want to get to where they want to be. Right? So I think that's the reason why a lot of people just find it helpful to come to counseling, where we talk about things that they are not able to see, because we all have our blind spots, right? And as counselors, as registered and licensed counselors, we are trained to understand the application of the counseling theories that should be in a very fluid and elegant manner. And when you get a counselor who is very rigid in its application of theories, then definitely the client is going to feel that they are judged. So, like I say, the compatibility between the counselor and the client is very, very important and crucial element in making sure that the therapy works effectively for the client. You know?
Yes, I already get it.
It's just like you're talking to your best friends, right? So you may have many friends, but there's one friend who's like never judging, and chances are you will be going to them to talk about stuff, right? But unless they are a registered licensed counselor who's trained, they won't know how to help you as well. So that's, and at the very best, they can just listen to you. So when they come to see a counselor who they feel that they can trust, that is the beginning, that is the starting point for a therapeutic alliance, and therefore a very effective therapy. Yeah.
That's exactly right, Puan Johanna. Our best friend is the best in the end.
Yes.
That's true.
But also, I have to say that ever since I've been a counselor, sometimes my best friends would call me for a coffee session at Starbucks or something like that. And actually, it's not just a coffee session. It becomes like a venting session where they will talk about their problems to me, and and I can't even judge them because they're my friends. Yeah. But it's most important that you have someone that you can talk to about anything and everything. The unconditional friend, the unconditional friend. Yeah.
All right.
That's
Thank
it.
you, Wanjana.
Oh, that's most welcome.
Okay, there's questions in the comment box from Puan Sharini Shira Abdul Hamid. Taking maths continuously actually helped me to find my sanity, but to others it's like, why do you need to rely on maths? Do you have anything to say to those people? Because relapse happens.
Yep. Well,
So you want to answer?
Sharini, um, uh, taking this meds is just like I say, like Dr. Hijau said just now, it is just like you managing diabetes. You have to take it you have to take what it needs on a daily basis. So actually, how other people feel about you relying on meds is really none of their business. I mean, if you take a Panadol for headaches, or even if you're taking multivitamins for your energy, you're taking multi-B, vitamin multi-B in order for you to have energy. I don't understand why they're questioning what you're taking on a daily basis. If you know what I'm saying. Really, there's certain things that we should keep to ourselves because people won't understand. And it's something that is intimate. Therefore, I think in this day and age with this new generation having little knowledge about boundaries, personal boundaries especially, we need to reevaluate what we share with other people regarding our own well-being and what we do in order to maintain our well-being, because not everybody is there to understand. A lot of people are there to judge. So just keep things to yourself. What's personal is keep it personal, and that would help to declutter any unnecessary stress you may be carrying on your mind. Okay.
Okay, so for Anita, so Datu, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I guess the point is that I always go back to the concept of recovery versus cure. Okay, so does it mean that when you're on medication that you have not recovered? Actually, no. The fact that, as Puan Shari puts it, it helps find her sanity means that she can live her life as she should on the medication. Hence, that reinforces the fact that,
Yes.
yeah, you state, and that's you. I mean, what's the difference, as Puan Johanna said, what's the difference between that other person taking Panadol when she has back pain, the person who takes sertraline when she has low mood? I believe that there's no difference, but the difference is in, as we discussed, is the stigma. Okay, simply because it's an antidepressant or an antipsychotic or an anti-manic, that's the only issue. The issue is with the label on the medication itself. So yeah, it's a very relevant question. It's a very common question. When am I going to stop the medication? I know that if I stop the medication, I'm going to relapse. I'm going to fall back into depression or start hearing those voices again. So my answer will be pretty simple: is that why are we focusing on the negatives when we can take home the positive? You are actually responding to the medications, and you're actually getting well with the medications. Let's start over there. Okay,
yeah.
So it's about shifting your paradigm. Okay, rather than concentrating on things that is rather out of our control. Okay, we can't really control that. If we need the medications, we need the medications. Okay.
Okay, thank you for that. But Anita, would you
Just
like?
hang on. Just to interject, just for a while, we just consider, should there be some vitamins or supplements or whatever that would make someone look very beautiful, So you take every day in order for you to maintain beauty. They would they question you if it
They would
is,
be queuing up. They will be queuing up
Yes,
to get
exactly. They
medication,
won't.
regardless
They,
of
in
the
fact, they
price.
will tell you, do not miss that medication because it will continue to make you beautiful. You see how beauty is like somehow rather a bigger priority than mental well-being. I don't understand this.
Alright, so what Anita, would you like to add something?
Yeah. Um, for me, I think it takes a lot of courage and strength to take medication because the side effects of medication um, can be very challenging. And for you to finally find a medication that really works for you, um, facing and feeling all these the side effects of it as well, being consistent in taking it. There's a lot of discipline to it as well. But I think the most important point to highlight here is medication alone isn't enough. So when you have medication, it is like a walking stick, right? So you have it in your body. Now you feel a little bit better. Now you're more stable in that sense. Try and explore other things that can help you. Again, it must be a holistic approach because you can't be taking a medication and not sleeping well. You can't be taking medication, not exercising, not changing your lifestyle. You will find yourself back into that hole that you're in. So try as much as possible to do other things, learn about your symptoms, um, find effective coping mechanisms, um, promote a positive, lifestyle, change bad habits. It takes about 40 days, and then work on that as much as possible. And again, recovery takes work. It takes huge willpower. Resiliency is ordinary. We are all resilient. But ultimately, what needs to happen in your recovery is you need to find that willpower, and willpower is, an immunity that we all have, really. So that really needs to come in, and then that recovery process can be effective. So yeah, so that's my take on medication.
So, Puan Anta, would you, if you don't mind, what do mental health organizations offer to people who are suffering from mental illness, and what do individuals usually seek for when they decide to open up?
Okay. There are a lot of mental health in the context of NGOs. There are a lot of mental health NGOs on the ground today. We were the first peer group in Malaysia. So we started in 2016. During the time, there wasn't an NGO or a group that were formed by people with mental health disorders. And I think that coming into the space, what I really wanted to provide was a platform so that people that are struggling didn't feel alone. They had a safe space where they can come, they can feel a sense of belonging, they can share whatever they're going through, whatever it might be, and empower them in that recovery journey, and for them to know that they are not alone. This is very important because when you see, the challenge is when you feel that your condition is unique, and when you feel that your condition is unique, it becomes very difficult for you to go through that recovery process because you're going to feel like there is no hope, there is not a way out. You don't know who to talk to, you don't have a role model, you don't believe that recovery is possible. So that was the whole idea when we first started. And so mental health NGOs can provide that safe space for individuals that are struggling. For Miasa, what we strive to do, of course, helping people, saving lives, but we provide alternative solutions to clinical care and medicine and all that. Although we do provide mental health assessment, we've got therapists, we've got counseling and all that, but we focus on peer support, we focus on family support, we focus on spiritual therapy, art therapy, expressive dance therapy, we've got drama programs, and also supported employment programs, and of course, crisis management. So Miyasa, we've got a clubhouse where it serves as an activity center, so people can walk in. You can speak to anyone at the clubhouse, consultation, and join in any activities that you feel suits you, right? So as much as possible, we try to vary all these different services and support that we provide so that there is always something for everyone on the menu in that sense. And as much as possible, with that camaraderie-ness, people will feel that they're able to, they're not reminded every day that I'm ill, I have this condition, but rather they are able to feel normal. They're able to reintegrate into society. They're able to find hope. They're able to find, tips, help, and that way they can grow. In that recovery process, they can thrive in this journey, and I think that is so important. And also the other thing at Miyasa, we provide all our services, essential services, at no cost to the B40 group, and that is one of the one of our ways in order to break that barrier to access, right? Although we're not financially independent, obviously, we're an NGO, we scramble to find money. But Alhamdulillah, until today, we're able to provide that at no cost. And other mental health NGOs on the ground, be it Befrienders, which have a 24/7 suicide hotline. We've got Soul's Health, now known as Thrive Well. They've got therapy sessions. They also focus a lot on the vulnerable groups. They do training, psychoeducation, psychological first aid, those kind of things. And then we have the Malaysian Mental Health Association. They focus a lot on caregivers, although they were initiated by community leaders and also psychiatrists, but they have done a lot in the space as well. So if you need, for example, counseling, they do a lot of counseling as well, and a lot of psychoeducation and also training for caregivers and people that want to learn more. So they are currently offering psychological first aid certification. And so these are, people on the ground closest, to those of you that are struggling, because we're in the community, that can help you. So you can walk in, you can drop by, you can see whatever services are available for you. You can call us up. We've got a 24/7 crisis helpline. Our crisis team, while limited to certain areas, are able to go to you wherever you're at. So if you're in crisis, you're at home, you're somewhere and you need, someone to talk to, or you need somebody to accompany you, for example, for your appointment, for you to go and do groceries, for example, and, you don't feel that you can go alone, for example, you can call us up, and we can accompany you to do these things. So we're, majority of us of the crisis team are peers, people with lived experience. So our approach is from the peer perspective, because a lot of people say, Juanita, how is Miyasa supported employment program different from the ones in hospitals, for example, or at Mentari? It's different because it's from a peer approach. It comes from approach of people with lived experience. So obviously it's going to be different because, we're not clinical. It doesn't come from a clinical perspective. So that's pretty much what the people on the ground can help those struggling with the condition.
Okay, thank you, Puan Anita, for your
most welcome
answer. Okay, the council would like to thank the panelists for their sharing just now. I'm very sure that all of the audience enjoy and learn a lot from your fantastic insight. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question for the panelists, you may type them in the comment section below. Don't forget to put the hashtag MYN. So, the first question for our panelists for today is from Bobby Arif. What can parents do or identify mental health in their parents?
The children.
In their parents, on their children.
Oh, for the children. So, in
Okay.
other words,
Basically, what she's asking is, how, as parents, do we detect any mental illness in our children, and if should they be going through it, and what it is that the parents should be looking out for. I think the most, if I may answer this question, I think the most evident one will be the sleep timing of your teenagers, when they are sleeping later and later and waking up feeling more and more exhausted. Then definitely their appetite for food or meals is going to be affected. Then they'll basically will be running on empty because they're exhausted. So this will be the first one that you can see. And usually they will come up with an excuse like, oh, I can't sleep because I need to study. But chances are they are also doing multitasking. Apart from them studying, they're also scrolling through the social media. And there's nothing more stressful than Instagram. TikTok is for laughs, that's fine and good. But then Instagram, when people are posting such idealistic, perfect life, and they start to wonder, will I be able to achieve that? So I think that each of the social medias have got its own pros and cons. And so we need to look at the entertainment consumption of our teenagers. What is it that they do? Are they playing PUBG, or are they playing Mobile Legend? And I think that from there, as parents, you'll be able to see the nature. If the nature of the game that they are playing is of a group type, then chances are they may be feeling very connected with these people, because when the moment you come online, you got your teammates going, how are you, whereas your mother and father won't ask you every morning, how are you? So this is the thing that makes them feel, oh, there's a connection, these people care for me. Okay, so I think that looking at what they do on a daily basis, if you were to like chart out, wake up at what time, have breakfast at what time, so you account for every hour what it is that your child is doing, you'll be able to sort of put a finger on your child's mental well-being. So that is what my answer is for those people who are parents and they're concerned about the well-being of their teenagers. Okay, right.
I'm just going to add a little bit to that. Basically, children need to be children. So when you think that your child is not behaving as a child should, basically, I know it's a bit generous, it's a rather general statement, but what I'm talking about, what do we expect when we see children? We expect children to play, to laugh, and to socialize with their peers. And when you, because it is a very different approach when you talk about psychology or psychiatry in the pediatric or children population. You can't really go up to a 7 or 8-year-old and ask, hey, are you depressed? Hey, are you anxious? Okay, it does not go like that, but it's usually observed in their behavior. So as a parent, that's what you look out for, because only parents will know what is normal and what is abnormal. If your child was this and suddenly has a change in behavior, then you start to think, okay, is there a reason behind this change of behavior? So hopefully that kind of gives another aspect as another answer, or another aspect of the answer towards the question that was asked.
Before we move on to the next question, Puan Anita need to leave for other appointment. Is it right?
Yes.
Sorry, Puan Anita, because taking an extra time
No
and
worries.
disturbing your time for your interview soon. So thank you for Anita, for spending your time with us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you, Puan
meeting
Anita.
you guys, Point Joanna. Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Keep up the good work, everyone. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Bye.
Thank you. Good luck,
Waalaikumsalam.
Wanita.
Thank you. All right. Bye bye.
Okay, so let's continue with two other questions more. We got Bobby Arif. Next question.
Gone already. That was the question you asked just now.
Bobby Arif, he asked two questions. So never mind. We move on to Shokuzat. Such a nice name, Shokuzat. The question is it safe for some people to choose meds and no therapy, especially for Dr. Hijaz?
Yeah, thank you for the special question, Shogunzat. Is it safe? In general, medications are safe. Okay, there is no ulterior motive when we start medications. It's always tailored to the patient. We take into account the age, the weight, and the history in terms of the past. Any medical issues they might have. So in choosing the medications itself, usually we choose the safe ones, and we explain the side effects in details on what to expect, and monitoring is also essential. We take blood tests, we monitor for side effects and so on. Whether it is safe, so the question is whether it's safe to just take medications and no therapy. Again, it depends on the definition of therapy. If you're talking about formal therapy, such as cognitive behavioral therapy or any other sort of therapy, then I think that there's no issue. But honestly, the fact that you're coming to see a psychiatrist itself, that itself is a form of therapy. The fact that you are going out and exercising, seeing your friends, that's another sort of therapy. So again, it goes back to the definition of therapy. But I kind of understand where you're coming from. Some people feel that they want to be cured just by medication. I don't want to talk to the doctor. I just want medications. It doesn't really work that way, because the only way we know what medication to give is if you talk to us. Okay, so it's rather important in the information gathering to know you better, and we don't ask questions for no reason. Sometimes you get psychiatrists asking how much you scored for your SPM, and you think, why does he want to know that? But these are the things that we think about when we formulate a case, when we think about the best form of treatment for a person. Okay, in any approach to a client, to a patient, there's no, it is very simplistic and superficial to just rely on medications. It's always, as I mentioned, there is the pharmacological aspect involved in the medication, there's the psychological aspect, there is the spiritual aspect, and so on. So by targeting all four or all these modalities, then chances of recovery, the chances of alleviating the symptoms are higher, rather than relying on just a single form of treatment. So there's a double-edged question there, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hijaz. So we move on to the next question by someone. Is the anxiety can causes a person to experience maladaptive daydreaming? And is maladaptive daydreaming normal? Can you also explain a little bit about schizophrenia?
Schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia. Okay,
That's
sorry.
right. It's okay. Learning is good.
Okay, thank you. This would be for maybe
Dr.
Dr.
Hijaz.
Hijaz.
No. Yeah, Dr.
I was
Hijaz.
hoping that Puan Johanna would answer.
Well, no. This one is yours, Doc. This one is yours, Doc.
Again, the term maladaptive daydreaming, open to interpretation on what it actually means. And then there's the borderline, or there's the border between daydreaming and the psychosis symptoms that you experience in schizophrenia. Okay, so I'll start with the schizophrenia part, and then possibly explain in terms of daydreaming. Okay, schizophrenia in general is when you experience symptoms, hallucinations, delusions, experiencing where things are not real. For example, hearing voices, feeling unsafe, having delusions that you're being followed or being threatened. You know, it is not a pleasant experience. It is categorized under severe form of mental illness, and there are many factors that can drive a person to actually get schizophrenia. There's no one factor. Okay, so when you talk about daydreaming, where sometimes when you're just sitting alone and suddenly you feel an experience that is a little bit out of normality. For example, you feel, did somebody call my name, or did I just see something walk through the window? Okay, so and then you're wondering, was I daydreaming or do I actually have schizophrenia? The main difference between those experiences and the psychotic symptoms that one has in schizophrenia is something that you call insight. Okay, so the fact that you can analyze or doubt the realness of the symptoms that you have means that it's probably not a hallucination or a delusion. In schizophrenia, there is no doubt. A person will be very firm on the fact that he's hearing voices, or very firm on the fact that someone is out there trying to kill him, and there'll be no insight at all in terms of that. Okay, and daydreaming is normal. Okay, there's no such thing as maladaptive daydream. Daydreaming is normal. Having pseudo hallucinations, we call it, where we think that something touched our shoulder, we think that we see something, and then when we look, it's not there. We dismiss it as our imagination. That is totally normal. Okay, you are not going crazy. It is, you know, it is part of experiences that we have sometimes. With got, and it has to do with many factors. You know, the fact that we might be tired, the fact that there might be change in the lighting, there might be wind
Or you might
causing.
be in a haunted place.
Yeah, again, so that opens another can of worms when you talk about whether it is a ghost, whether a person can really see ghosts, or is the person having schizophrenia. That's another topic that will take another 4 or 5 hours to talk about itself. I'm sure you know about
Yes.
that, Johanna. So I hope I answered the question. It's I think I answered the question anyway. For Johanna, any thoughts?
No. Because you see, I work within the limitations of my my profession, and schizophrenia, borderline personalities, narcissistic personalities. These are all under the psychiatric treatment. It shouldn't be. It's not by the counselors, because we are not. I mean, although we know about abnormal psychology, but there is a limit to what we can do. So unless they are already medicated, by the psychiatrist and somewhat stable, we don't see clients who are swinging from the tree. No, we don't do that.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Panjana. Thank you, Dr. Ijaz. Okay, for the final questions from Raja Nurul Natasha. How much does a therapy roughly cost?
Okay.
These are the
Well,
questions.
therapy. Okay. I don't know about psychiatrists. I think Dr. Hijaz has to answer first.
Well, it ranges. And you're talking about consultation. Honestly, I'll have to give you a ballpark figure, as I'm in the public sector. So the cost to see me is probably ranges from 1 ringgit to 5 ringgit. Okay, so that will be the public sector. Medications are free. In terms of the private sectors, it can be very expensive in terms of the medications. I would expect in the range of above 500 ringgit for medications, and in terms of consultations, it ranges again between 2 to 500 ringgit, depending on how celebrity of your psychiatrist is. So, Yeah, that would be the range.
So, okay.
Okay, thank you.
For me, well, there are many types of counselors working with different types of setting. There's the counselors at the public centers where they can get counselling for free under Kementerian Pembangunan Wanita Keluarga Masyarakat. Okay, that's for free. And then, but those who and then those who are working in schools, the school counselors get a monthly income just like other teachers, regardless of how many clients they see in a day. Okay, but we at MY Confidential, we abide by the gazetted fee structure, by Lembaga Counsellor. And it has its amount for different qualification of the counselors and what type of services that falls under psychological services. So if like for anyone who wants to see me, they know that because of not just because of my expensive work experience, but also the specialization that I am in, it's 250 ringgit plus 50 ringgit admin fee. So it's basically 300 ringgit. And that is according to Lembaga Counsellor. Yeah, but if you go to a private clinic that is actually run as a business, it can go anywhere between 5 to 800 ringgit depending on the clinic. Okay, but at MY Confidential, we do have services that's called mental health checkup. And the mental health checkup, we do lifestyle assessment and also run some psychological tests, such as to measure depression and anxiety, which is the common one. And it's just half an hour, no counseling. And then it's just 100 ringgit for you to be able to know where do you stand as far as your mental health is concerned. Okay, but we also do have packages for 200 ringgit. You get one mental health checkup for that is 30 minutes and 2 counseling sessions by an intern counselor. Okay, and if you want to add on, there's a 300 ringgit package where you get 1 mental health checkup and 3 counseling sessions by an intern. We also have junior counselors. Junior counselors are those who are under my direct supervision, and they've completed their academic years and they are waiting for their license from Lembaga Counsellor. So they charge 100 ringgit for counseling for 1 hour. Okay, and then as they get a license, then they will become junior counselors. So these junior counselors can charge between maybe 100 ringgit to 200 ringgit depending on what extra trainings they may have attended. So I hope that helps for you to understand the difference between the counselors who are working in clinics who run it as business, where they are paid a monthly salary, and those who are working in the government sector, and then they do the counseling regardless of how many sessions, they get a monthly salary. But counselors who are in private practice, they earn as they work. And because of our human limitation, we can only do about 3 sessions a day at most, because after that we are not able to be as observant and as mentally fit, and it will be a disservice onto the clients who listen to you when you are you're basically just exhausted, right? So we limit ourselves to just 3 sessions a day. So this is something that the public does not understand, the difference between these many kinds of counselors that are out there. Let me also explain that clinical psychologist is who you go to if you need a diagnosis and treatment for any mental illness, that means abnormal psychology, such as borderline personality or even schizophrenia. Yeah. For normal counselors, you will have those who will deal with depression and anxiety, and we teach you the way for you to cope, coping skills which you can use outside of sessions and eventually perpetually throughout your life. Yeah, basically that's it.
Okay, thank you, Puan Johanna. Dr. Hijaz, how to get the doctor's appointment at the public hospital that you mentioned just now?
Okay, so yeah, very common question. There are a few pathways. The gatekeepers are the GP and the clinic kesihatan lah. Okay, so you can either go via the counsellor or you see a counsellor in college or in school. Then they might refer you. Okay, you need to see a doctor. Okay, then you usually go to a regular doctor in the clinic kesihatan or a GP lah, a private GP, and they will need to write a letter to get you an appointment at a tertiary center where we have psychiatric services. So usually these are in hospitals such as where I work or wherever lah. So if you're in Melaka, the Melaka Hospital, where they have that service. Okay, so the timeline can range between 1 week to a month. Okay, it all depends on the severity of the symptoms. Okay, if we feel that you are in danger, in trouble, we'll see you immediately. For the other more colder cases, we'll give you appointment a bit later. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. So, thank you for your questions. They were wonderful answered by our panelists, which I believe clear our confusion. Okay, now we have reached our final session for today, which is the lucky draw. There will be 4 chosen winners that we have the list of participants. So the first winner is Faizal Hussein bin Luqman Hakim. Congratulations to you.
Faizal Hussein, congratulations.
Congratulations.
So let's see who's the second winner for the lucky draw person. It's Abdul Malik bin Mat Yasin. Congratulations to you.
Abdul Malik, congratulations.
Mabruk, congratulations, Abdul Malik.
So let's see the
who's the
third winner. Congratulations to Charlie Zawati Putri Beti Roslan.
Congratulations to you.
Congratulations.
These are such a lucky person. And the last one. The last one, Ismail bin Hassan. Congratulations.
Congratulations to you.
So lucky to all of you.
Okay, congratulations to all the winners, to the wonderful winners of the lucky draw. In order to claim your prize, please click the link in the comment section and write your name in the comment section. Okay, thank you.
Okay. We have now reached the end of the event. As a young adult myself, I learned about how important this issue is to our society, especially teenagers. Despite this, some of us choose to disregard this issue just because they think that mental health problems will only happen to those with a weak mindset. Before we end this program, I want to express my gratitude to our amazing professionals that are willing to contribute to this event. First, to all of our panelists, Dr. Hijaz Rizwan and Puan Johanna Dato Johari, and for Puan Anita too, but sadly she's have to leave early. Thank you for sharing your insightful knowledge and spending your precious time with us today. We are extremely grateful to have you as our invited guest. We would like to apologize for any inconvenience or difficulties on our part during this session. Since the response is quite enormous for today's event, perhaps we could invite both of you for another session in the future.
I'm curious.
I'm down.
I'm curious how many viewers on average do we have today? You don't really see it on my screen.
We actually don't know too.
Or is that a secret?
Yeah.
Right now,
That's
I
a
think
secret,
I
Bruno.
see about 71 on the chat, on the live chat. I can see about 71 people who are actively watching this right now, and I think that is a good audience, and they're gonna read. I mean, they're gonna watch this video later on. So I think that's
Yes.
wonderful.
And I wish all of you long lasting health and all the best in your future endeavors. Also, a big thank you to our project advisor and lecturer who has been guiding us through all this time, Madam Sharini Shira binti Abdul Hamid. Before we part ways, I also want to say thank you to all of the audience who have stayed with us until the very end. Your support means everything to us, and we are able to make this event more wonderful. Good things are better when they are shared with others. May all of you only walk on flower paths throughout your life, but don't ever forget that before a flower blossoms, they are all planted in the mud. Just when we get through the tough time, we will be able to shine brighter every day. That's all for us. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you, Puan Johanna. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Hijaz.
very much,
Thank you
everyone.
very
Thank you,
much.
Huda. Thank you, Alia. You all are such pretty girls. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for all the audience who asked us very good questions too. Yeah, Dr. Hijaz, I hope I look forward to working alongside you in our uh, endeavors probably in the future, helping other people. Yeah, in the
Inshallah,
mental health.
inshallah. Yeah, we'll see,
Inshallah.
inshallah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
you.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you. Bye.